there's a myth that is circulating more and more in our day, and one that ultimately becomes anti-Semitic, that says that the great majority of today's Jews, especially all Ashkenazi Jews, cannot trace their lineage back to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the children of Israel. Rather, they are the descendants of the Khazars, and the Khazar kingdom converted, Khazaria, over 1,000 years ago. They converted to Judaism, so they are not really Jews in the first place. They don't have a blood tie to the people of Israel. They converted, and now people like me, who would be Ashkenazi, who would be Caucasian ultimately, that's where our roots are. Our roots don't go back to Israel. So you can see the lie is today's Jews are not really Jews. Now it's interesting, in Jeremiah chapter 31, Jeremiah 31, God made some promises in verses 35 to 37, where he basically says, as long as sun, moon, stars are still out there, until you can discover the foundations of the earth and search out the universe, as long as that's the case, God says, then shall the offspring of Israel cease from being a nation before me. If you can do this, if heaven and earth cease to be, then they'll cease to be a nation before me. And God says, then I'll cast off all the offspring of Israel for all that they've done, declares the Lord. In other words, God himself promised that he would preserve this people. What's fascinating is that as we look back historically, it seems that a certain number of Khazars did convert, and that they then were melded into the rest of the Jewish people. Conversion, just like Ruth converting, was always fine, but it was a small percentage, and that's it. That Ashkenazi Jews can ultimately trace back to a smaller number of families that directly trace back to the children of Israel. They were in exile, and then in reaching certain parts of Europe, began to intermarry. Others married in with them. So in other words, the joining of others to the Jewish people has happened with Ruth and others through history, Rahab and others through history. They married in, and that's why we have this diversity. That's why you have Jews with all different color skin and ethnicity. But ultimately, this can be traced through DNA, this can be traced linguistically, this can be traced historically, this can be traced archaeologically, this can be traced in every way you can trace. We can say as Ashkenazi Jews that our ultimate roots go back to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the children of Israel in the land. And you have many, many other Jews, Sephardic Jews, Yemenite Jews, and others that have no possible connection to the Khazars, and yet they get discredited as well. This is a modern day myth, and one that is growing as hostility against Israel and the Jewish people grows. Are most Jews today descendants of the Khazars, who were Gentiles who converted to Judaism? Absolutely, categorically, no.